Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in my previous video on molecular biology, we completed the topic like introduction to molecular biology, history of molecular biology and other related topics like a central dogma of molecular biology. So in this particular video, we will be learning about the chemical nature of your nucleic acids. So as a recap for my previous video, I will be telling you about two experiments. That was the experiment conducted by Griffith as well as the experiment conducted by Hershey and Chase. So these two experiments confirmed that there was a presence of certain material which was the responsible for transformation. So as we seen in case of the Griffith's experiment, there was a transformation of non-virulent strain into virulent strain. So that confirmed that there was an exchange of a material from an virulent strain to non-virulent strain, which literally converted the non-virulent strain into a virulent strain here. So after many more researches were happened in the field of molecular biology, which then led to a conclusion that those materials which were responsible for that transformation to be termed as your nucleic acids. They were called as nucleic acids. Then in the early stages we had three options. We had three options of nucleic acids. They were literally proteins, RNA and DNA. These three were there. Again there was a other set of experiments which concluded that it was only DNA, and the best example for that experiment we can go with that of the Hershey-Chase experiment, where he disapproved that protein cannot be an transformating material. So we came to a conclusion that either DNA or RNA was the proper genetic material. After the discovery of structure of RNA, it was properly confirmed that DNA was the genetic material which had the properties like it has the ability to continue its progeny. It has the ability to continue its progeny in its offspring or in its daughter cells, and the second one was it was able to undergo variation, and because of that particular variation only we are all differ in our own morphology here. So after they came into this particular conclusion that nucleic acids, and out of these nucleic acids we have got two important nucleic acids, that is RNA and DNA. After understanding the structure of RNA and DNA, it was concluded that DNA was the important or DNA was the prominent genetic material. So here we will be learning about the chemical structure of the nucleic acids. So you will be learning about both RNA and DNA. So please back here. Here we can observe the structure of nucleic acid. So what is actually a nucleic acid made up of? A nucleic acid is made up of three components. They are, first one is your phosphate group, second one is monosaccharide sugar, and this monosaccharide sugar usually will be your pentose sugar. In both of your RNA as well as DNA, you will be having the monosaccharide sugars like pentose sugar usually, and the third component is your heterocyclic nitrogenous bases. These heterocyclic nitrogenous bases along with sugar and a phosphate group will constitute your nucleic acid. That is being termed here as 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to nucleic acid. That is the combination of a phosphate group, a pentose sugar and a nitrogenous bases will combine to form our nucleic acids here. And the nucleic acids can be of two types, as I said you here. They are your RNA as well as your DNA. So this will be the structure of your RNA, that is ribose sugar, and this will be the structure of your DNA, that is 2-deoxyribonuclease. Okay, this will be the structure of your nucleic acid, and with an example of your RNA as well as DNA here. And I will go for the composition of nucleic acid. So what is the actual composition here? A nucleic acid is nothing but a polymer. It is an polymer of nucleotides. So many nucleotides are combined in a long chain or a polynucleotide chain to form a particular nucleic acids here. So before understanding this polymer, we have to understand about four things. They are A, G, T, C or U. A is nothing but your adenine, G guanine, T thymine, C, cytosine or uracil, and they will be interchanged in case of RNA and DNA. That will be learning in the next part of the video. So when you come to the composition, what are nucleic acids? Nucleic acids are nothing but the polymers of the nitrogenous bases. So this AGTC can be called as your nitrogenous bases. They are arranged in a long chain to form your particular nucleic acids. So they constitute your nucleotides here. So what is actually nucleotides made up of? Nucleotides are made up of two components, that is nitrogenous bases along with the sugar molecule here. As I said you, this will be your bases here, nitrogenous bases here. Along with the nitrogenous base, if there is a presence of a sugar, then you can call that as your nucleotides. So we can say that nucleotide is made up of two parts, namely bases as well as sugars here. So what are all the bases you can come across? One are purines and second one are called as pyrimidines here. So purines and pyrimidines are called as your bases, and when you come to sugar, we have got ribose sugar, that is RNA, and deoxyribose sugar, that is nothing but your DNA. So what do you mean by this purines as well as pyrimidines? Here purines are adenine as well as guanine. The guanine as well as adenine can be called as your purine part here. So these constitute the purines here, and when you come to the pyrimidine part, that is nothing but you will be having your cytosine, and you will be having your thymine as well as you will be having your guanine here. Those three will constitute for your complete excuse me, pyrimidine part here. So except adenine and guanine, the left out part will be called as your pyrimidines here. They constitute your complete purines as well as pyrimidines here. So what do you mean by your nucleotides is nothing but bases along with the sugar here, and here is the proper chemical structure. So you have to note down these chemical structures, and you want to practice them in case of if you want to explain about the chemical structure of the nucleic acids here. So the next topic we are going to discuss is about your replication of genetic material. So before understanding the replication of genetic material, we will know about the central dogma of molecular biology. DNA gives rise to RNA. This can undergo replication here. This is the formation of your proteins here. So the formation of DNA to RNA by a method called as transcription, and here it will be translation. So why the central dogma of molecular biology is nothing but if you want to understand replication of a genetic material, this is essential here. So listen here, the DNA will be converted into your RNA by a process called as transcription. Transcription is nothing but the process where the DNA will be converted into RNA. Okay, or the genetic material which is found in the DNA will be transcribed into the language of RNA here. Again, there is another process called as translation, where the RNA will be responsible for the production of certain proteins which are essential in the particular time. All the proteins will not be found at a particular time. They will be produced only according to the situation. Whichever protein is responsible for production of that particular process will be synthesized according to that time itself here. So the process of formation of proteins from RNA can be called as translation here. So by this we can confirm that DNA is playing a huge role here. So after discovering that double helical structure of your DNA, that is staircase structure as prescribed by Watson and Crick in the year 1953. So they confirmed that it is in a staircase. So this is nothing but it is having an anti-parallel end 5 dash 3 dash 3 dash 5 dash, and this DNA has the ability to undergo replication, whereas your RNA is just a single stranded genetic material. So this don't have such a great ability of replication, and the replication of your RNA is completely confined for a particular group of viruses which have RNA as the genetic material, and they use RNA as the genetic material. But in case of DNA, major of all the organisms are having DNA as the genetic material which is responsible for the replication process here. So in this part we will be learning only about the replication of DNA here, not the replication of RNA here. So now coming for the replication of DNA. Replication of DNA. So the replication of DNA occurs in 3 methods here. The first method is called as semi-conservative method. Second one, conservative method. Next one is dispersive method. So the 3 methods of replication of DNA can be quoted as semi-conservative method, conservative method, as well as dispersive method. Now we will learn what do you mean by semi-conservative method. So let's imagine this is your DNA 5 dash 3 dash 3 dash 5 dash. I'll just darken the other one so to differentiate between the double strand here. So in semi-conservative method what happens, see in this method there is a formation of daughter DNA. So you can observe here these two are called as your daughter DNAs here. One is having the darker one and other one is having the lighter one here. So why I made it a thicker strand is nothing but to differentiate, to show that each of the daughter cells are having one strand of the DNA. So as you know, the double strand has been twined in this form, they will unwind themselves and one strand will go for one daughter cell, other strand will go for the other daughter cell, so that it will be conserved. Whatever the parental DNA was there, whatever the method or whatever the information was coded in case of that parental DNA will be equally distributed with that of the daughter DNA. This was one of the theory proposed, which says that in case of a daughter cells of your DNA, the parental thing will be conserved or semi conserved, because only half strand will be gone for the one daughter cell and other half will be gone for the other daughter cell here. And we will go for the second method, that is conservative method. This conservative method says that, so this is your DNA here. So in this part, this says that the whole will be conserved here. This will be here again the same daughter cells here 1 and 2. The same DNA which is found here, that only will be remade here, that is replicated again, the same thing. There is no separation of strands, unwinding, anything will be done. Just the parental DNA will be cut to form another 2 different daughter cells here. That was the second theory put forth to explain about this replication of DNA. And when we go for the next thing, that is your dispersive one. In this dispersive one, it was a tricky one. So this was your DNA here. This says that one daughter cell and second daughter cell. So, this is your dispersive method. Here it states that, see, if this is your DNA strand, let us imagine this is your DNA strand, this will be your parental one, and the thickening one, whatever you find here, this will be your actual parent, this is daughter. Again a piece of your daughter, again a piece of your parent. This was the third methodology what they said about your dispersive method here. Here whatever the thickenings you can find here, that is called as your parental DNA, and whatever the thinner one you can come across here, that is called as your daughter DNA. This was the third theory which was proposed to explain this concept of replication of DNA. So, you can see properly that all these three will be in a right method until you go a bit deeper into the topic here. So, let us imagine about conservative method. If the whole DNA is the same thing and it will be cut into the two parts, means how much amount of DNA should be present? How much amount should be produced in case of that particular organism. So, this theory was literally not approved because they were not able to prove it in a practical manner. As we being a science student, we will accept anything only of a experimental proof here. So, no experimental proof was there to explain this particular method of DNA replication here. Hence, this theory of conservative method of DNA replication was disapproved here. And we are going for the last one, that is dispersive method. Even this one had no none of the experimental proof was found in this particular method here. And you can imagine how they can be cut into your daughter strand, again parent strand, daughter strand, parent strand. This was highly impossible here. So, this methodology was also not accepted and this theory was completely disapproved here. But this method was approved. Why? Because we know the method of transcription. What is transcription? There is the presence of a DNA like this. So, this DNA will undergo replication by forming an replication fork like this. It will form the replication fork. One will be called as your leading strand, other one will be called as your lagging strand. And there are again a certain polymerases which will be, according to their function, they will arrange on the strands and they will form the left out part, resulting in the formation of new DNAs here. So, from this we have another advantage that whatever the parent is having the DNA strands, one will be given to that of the daughter cells here. So, they will be having the copy of a parent here, similar to that of our humans. What we say, as the component of a parent will be found in their babies, the same way is that of your DNA. Hence, this was having a proper experimental proof by an Blender's experiment. According to the Blender's experiment was done to explain the semi-conservative method of DNA replication, and this is the most accepted method. Until today, this is the only method we have been following for the replication of DNA here. So, now we learnt about the chemical structure of nucleic acid, what do you mean by nucleic acid, what are the composition of nucleic acids, and we also learnt about the replication of DNA here. And now the next topic we are going to discuss here is nothing but genetic code. So, what do you mean by genetic code? The genetic code can be defined as it's a set of rules. It's a set of rules in the living organisms made to translate the encoded genetic information here. As we know that one, in case of DNA, there is presence of an genetic code which is responsible for the proper working of an organism, how an organism should work, how an organism should be developed. All these things will be found in the DNA in a coded form. If that code has to be opened, if that code has to be worked out, there should be a presence of a code to encode that particular genetic material. That code can be called as what? Genetic code here. And genetic code is always triplet in nature. This will be the first property of your genetic code. If you want to understand this triplet nature, we should be knowing the structure of your DNA. So, if this is your DNA, A T G C A T G C A T. So if this is an DNA here, so we know this will be arranged according to the Chargaff's rule. So adenine always pairs with thymine with two bonds, and guanine always pairs with cytosine with 3 bonds here. This was Chargaff's rule. According to this methodology only, all of our bonds will be found in case of your DNA here. But if a process has to start, like let's take an example, the transcription. If this transcription should start, there should be a particular codon here. The codon is in triplet nature. Like let's take an example, AUG. AUG is an codon responsible for starting up of a process. And if this codon is found in the mRNA here, if this code is found on the mRNA here, this will start up the procedure. And once there is no terminator codon, that may be your GUG or any ATT, it may be another terminator codon. Until the formation of this terminator codon, the process will be continuing here. So this will be the second property. Genetic code will have an initiator codon. It will be having an initiator codon and it will be having a terminator codon. This will be the 3 properties. And when you come to the fourth one, genetic code is universal. Genetic code is universal. If I take AUG has an starting codon or the initiator codon, if I say AUG is the only codon which can code for starting up of a procedure, this will be safe throughout the universe. The person may be in Netherlands, the person may be in Antarctica, the person may be in Greenland, person may be in Sri Lanka. In any part of the world, AUG is only responsible for the starting up of a process or starting up of a transcription. This is nothing but universal. So this will not change according to the place or according to the person. That is the fourth property of a genetic code. That is nothing but the genetic code is universal in nature. And when you come to the fifth property, it is commaless. So what do you mean by commaless? Let's take an example. There is a codon like AUG, GUG, ATT, CAA. So this will be there. At any point of time, they will not change themselves, like GGU. This cannot become a codon. AUG is codon, AUG is only codon. At any circumstances, they will not mix up with the other codes or other nitrogenous bases found in the line to change up the things here. That is nothing but commaless. Until and unless they will not change their structure here. This is about the properties of the genetic code and how the genetic code will be working here. And we have got about 21 amino acids, 21 but 22 according to few authors it 21 and according to it is 22 amino acids. These amino acids will be coded by this coding language only. Each of these codon will be responsible for the production of a particular amino acid here. So until and unless we have this amino acid means we have a presence of a genetic code here that is responsible for the preparation or the production of proteins which are responsible for all the procedures in case of a living organism here. So this will be for this video all my tube mates. So in my next video, I will be continuing with the other parts of molecular biology. If you like the content, please like my video, subscribe to my channel and share my channel. Thank you.